So thank you so much for our today's live stream, highlights of Mwambao, as we are going to delve into access to justice, and most specifically for include, according to the United Nations and the rule of law, access to justice is a basic principle of the rule of law. In absence of access to justice, people are unable to have their voices heard, exercise their rights, challenge discrimination, or hold decision makers accountable. The declaration of the high-level meeting on the rule of law emphasizes the right of equal access to justice for all, including members of vulnerable groups, and reaffirmed the commitment of member states to taking all necessary steps to provide fair, transparent, effective, non-discriminatory, and accountable service that promote access to justice for all. Today, we are delighted to be joined by child rights defenders, but most importantly, we have a very important office in our country that works at accessing justice to all. So I will welcome our guest from LAS to meet us and introduce himself. Karibu, ndugu Mdhomi. Can you hear us? Okay, I think he has issues with his camera. Please unmute yourself. Last Mombasa, you've muted yourself. Okay. I think I'll give an opportunity to our other guest, Christine, to what she does and what should you expect from her. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay, good evening.
Thank you.
I'm Christine Rashid. I'm working for Strategic Community Development Organization as the project officer. And children rights is one of the thematic areas in our organization that we're dealing with. Like currently, we are about to start another project on child protection. And I'm also a paralegal. Hey.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Christine, for that brief and good introduction. So I will welcome Hafswa. Please unmute yourself. There is a microphone down there, which is you can use it to unmute. Okay. Seems technology is taking us. So I think, Christine, as they're sorting, we will have to proceed. I mean, that today is a special day for children, and we are glad that the entire country is looking at observing this day. So maybe just putting us to context. What is the celebration all about? What are some of the background issues around this day, which is so special for children, that I believe you to have celebrated?
Yeah, okay. We're celebrating the International Day of the African Child and this is in remembrance of the 40 children who lost their lives way back then in Soweto during the colonial period while fighting for their rights. And this is because the whites than the Africans. So this is when these children decided to go to the streets and fight for their rights. And the colonial sent their white soldiers who killed these children. And that is why from then on, we are celebrating of those kids who died during the massacre in Soweto.
Thank you so much for that brief. We are made to understand that the Day of the African Child is a very special day. So finally, we've taken care of technology, and we are glad to have a very important guest joining us. So we'll give time to, you see, it is written in last Mombasa, but we'll have to hear what it all means, what they do, and how are they fulfilling or rather supplementing what we want to speak about today. So, last Mombasa, Karibu, we would love to hear who you are, what you do, most specifically as much as our agenda for today is concerned. So, Karibu. Okay, this technology seems to be playing to our disadvantage today. Aha. Okay, we also have another colleague in our midst whom we will wish to introduce. We have, so if please let's get to know you, who you are, where you from, what do you engage yourself in as much as access for children is concerned. Karibu Hafsa. Please unmute your microphone.
Yes. Hello,
Hapo chini
Noli.
kuna mute, unmute.
Yes, I have unmuted. Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes.
me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me. I have kids, so I'm just very simple. I love kids, and I feel that they're the most vulnerable because people need protecting. They need people to look after them. And lately, what is happening in our midst? So we have the primary caregivers, us parents, who are responsible for these kids, are not doing the same. They're not giving the kids the rights that they deserve. I recently went for the paralegal training with Clear Africa and MCCRN network, and I learned so much. Laws are there to protect children, but unfortunately, in the homes, this is not what is actually happening. And I think there is much more awareness that is needed to be given to the communities, to the people in general, so that they can understand the rights of the child, that a child also has rights, that they are not just the responsibility of the parents, just so that the parent can take advantage of them. You have to look after your child and take care of your child and know that morally, if you do something wrong, you're going to be persecuted by the law to the fullest extent. You know, it's a very shame, and it's very saddening to see the cases that are happening around us. And you see that the parents or the family members are doing this awful acts to the children. I am part of Youth for Development, and with our group, we like to engage more with the youth and especially for the younger ages so that we can teach them more that they need to understand that they are important and they have rights just like everybody else, and they can be looked after and they can be taken care of, and we need to do that. And I was happy to learn that we will be having a legal aid service, and I think when he will be prepared, we will also want to hear about them. I've seen their office, and I'm glad that the constitution has brought this about, and it's going to bring about a lot of changes for us. And this is something very important, so that parents can know, or people around can know, if something happens to the children, what are the procedures we should do, and we can get legal aid, we can get services that they can help facilitate the process of if teens are violated or harm is done on them. We need them to be persecuted, and there is no excuse for hurting a child, because they do not deserve to be looked after any less than anybody. They are humans, we are humans, and they are even more vulnerable. And I think that is the most important essence, and we need to understand that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that good introduction. We really appreciate and we're looking forward to further engaging. So we also have a very important officer. I will welcome her to introduce herself, what she does, because the agenda of the day actually really, and I mean, concerns people. If you'll allow me, I'll refer to as her clients, her primary clients. So, Karibu, Madam Irene, please introduce yourself. Let's get to hear who you are, what to do, where you're from, and maybe a brief about access to justice for children as much as your work is concerned. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Noli. My name is Irene Rukaria. I'm a children officer, currently at the Likoni Children's Remand Home as the manager of the institution. At the Children's Remand Home, majorly we receive children with criminal matters that are ongoing in courts. Kindly confirm to me, Noli, am I audible?
You are very audible.
Thank you. So majorly we receive children committed to us by courts who have ongoing criminal cases in court. That is, they are not able to raise a bond or bail, so they have to be at the children's remand to go through their cases to determination. We also get another category of children, not so much, but once in a while we do receive children who are under care and protection. Normally, the children's remand is not supposed to have this category of children. We are only supposed to have children in conflict with the law, that is those who have criminal cases before different courts. However, in special circumstances, we have care and protection cases who are committed to the children's remand. And these are children who are considered to be of more of extreme behavioral issues, and they have to be processed to be taken to rehabilitation schools. So the court commits them to the remand homes for the children office, the different children officers, sub-county children officers, to work on their cases and apply for vacancies for them to be committed to rehabilitation, different rehabilitation schools. So these ones do not necessarily have criminal cases. They have issues with behavior issues, truancy, delinquents, and they need to be guided and taken through programs to rehabilitate them character-wise, behavior-wise. So on today's issue on access to justice, I'll just concentrate on the children who are placed at the remand home with the ones we say are in conflict with the law. Right now, the positive thing that I can say on this issue for children is that every other child that is taken to court with a case of being in conflict with the law, they cannot proceed with their matters without an advocate or a lawyer being assigned to them. So I would say this is very positive because a child is not able to represent themselves or go through their case to completion without being assigned an advocate by the court in which their matter has been filed. So for most of the children that, actually all the children that we have in this institution, the ones with ongoing criminal cases, each one of them is assigned an advocate before their case kicks off, which is very positive because these lawyers are able to guide these children on how to go through the justice system to completion of their matters, how to respond to questions in court. They represent them and assist these children to not feel intimidated and to know they are guided also on their rights, as much as we also in the institution guide them on their rights all through the justice system, how to present themselves in court, how to carry themselves. Their lawyers also play a major role in representing them and also guiding them through the justice system to the point of completion of their cases. So I would say it's a good thing for and very positive for our children in the country right now.
Thank you so
Back
much,
to you,
Madam
Noel.
Irene. Thank you so much for that expansive, definition. People have a different perception about, having a children remand home, forgetting that children also at times they get into conflict with the law, and in that respect, I'd love to bring back last Mombasa to share with us, who they are, what they do, and also in relation to what we've heard from, the department, or rather, Directorate of Children's Services, specifically the manager for the remand home. Maybe give us the opportunity of knowing you, what your office does, what you're doing as much as access to justice to children is concerned. Karibu ndugu.
Okay, thank you so much, Nodi. My name is Mutegi
Karibu
Mudomi.
sana.
I'm a state counsel with the National Legal Aid Service, which at the moment is under the Office of the Attorney General. And we are the state body that was created by the Legal Aid Act number 4 of 2016, with the sole purpose of ensuring that Kenyans are able to access justice. And as per the Act, our target audience is the indigent and the marginalized and also the vulnerable. And we believe that the children fall squarely under the category since they are a vulnerable population. They don't have their own voice, so they have to rely on other people. And it's in this issue of access to justice that our services are fully free. And to ensure this, we usually identify the children into two categories. There are those in need of care and protection, and then there are others. The other categories, those in conflict with the law. When it comes to those in conflict with the law, to ensure that they access justice, since the conflict is usually that they have committed an offense and they have been charged, as my colleague Rocadia said earlier. And when it comes to this, we usually avail advocates when we are contacted, since it's also the former CJ's directive that a child should have access to legal aid from the beginning up to the end of the entire trial. And also this is also part what is in our regulations, that we also have to avail the legal aid to the child. And then the other issue where we ensure that children get the access to justice is where they need of care and protection. And this is mostly the issues that we deal with in this is when it comes to custody, access, adoption, and also maintenance. In this case, an example, if it's maintenance, we usually summon both parents, mostly, but usually it's one parent who first reports the neglect to us, whereby we invite the parties for a mediation session. Since the Constitution and as a government entity, we are enjoined to, before proceeding to court, to always try to settle the matter through alternative means. That is why we employ mediation, given that it's free. And if that is not possible, then that's when we prepare the client for court, for the court, and the office itself will draft the pleadings. And once the pleadings are ready, we usually direct them on the way forward. And at the moment, we don't have the sufficient number of advocates, but we usually train the client on how to self-represent, and we also assist them when it comes to filing, should they need the assistance. And our services are free. They are at the expense of the state and the taxpayers. So we also have a toll-free line, whereby when a client is not available or is not able to reach our office, they can call us at 0800 720 640. And this line is always on from Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. And then we shall be able to assist and also to guide further on the best way forward. In the meantime, they should feel free to visit our Mombasa office, which is at the Betting and Control building, where the Children's County Coordinator is located.
Wow, that was an introduction and a half from your end, and we really appreciate and are glad that as a state, we've seen the need of giving access to justice to the members of our society, more so the indigent person. I will welcome our other. Okay, the microphone is off. Teresa, I see you are there, but your microphone is off and your camera is also off. So we'll allow her to set up as we're progressing. And maybe I'll go back to you, Irene. As much as the matters that you have, because children are under your care. Yeah. Maybe what might be we are facing, because all of us are working for these children, the challenges that we face that are stopping us from facilitating access to justice to the children.
Come again, Noli.
Have you gotten
No,
me?
no, you are not clear.
I'm saying, what are some of the challenges that we are facing that are stopping children from accessing justice?
There are quite a number of challenges, especially for children with in conflict with the law, the ones that are in our institutions. Sometimes we have their cases taking really long in court, yet we know very well from the Children's Act, a children's matter should take the shortest time possible. Within 6 months, a child's matter in court should have been determined. But sometimes you may find matters taking really long, sometimes children's matters going beyond a year or even 2 before they are determined, and you find that a child stays in a children's remand home for that period of time, yet they are supposed not to be in such an institution for more than 6 months. The challenge being sometimes that the matters are given far apart mentioned dates, or they take quite some time before the hearing of the matter starts. You also find that issues of the court schedule and also the advocates not being available when the matters come up for mention or hearing, so they are pushed forward. Those are some of the challenges that delay justice for these children, especially the ones that we have in the institution, because you find that in a children's remand, there aren't many programs, let's say, that you then get children in, especially education-wise, because a remand home is supposed to be a very temporary holding place for, especially for children. So you find these children end up losing quite some time in terms of school time. Because if a child is in this institution for more than 6 months while their peers are in school, by the time their matter is determined and they are either committed to a Boston institution or a probation hostel or a rehabilitation school where now they can be enrolled in a formal school or informal, that is life skills training, they are left behind by their peers who are at home and going on, or their peers who had also criminal matters and were bailed, or their families were able to pay bond and they were able to go back home and continue with learning as they went to attend to their matters in court when the dates would come. So Noli, I would say that is one of the major challenges for children in these institutions now when we talk about access to justice for them.
Thank you so much for that highlight. And I hope Teresa can hear us.
Hi. Noli, can you hear me?
Pole, I can see, I can hear.
I am on transit.
Yes, we can hear you.
I am on transit, but I
Hey,
will...
Pole. Do we give you time?
Yes, kindly. I am on the road. I don't think it will get any better.
Okay. So
If you can...
maybe we get to hear from you. I mean, in your course of you working with the community, more specifically children, who are in need of justice. What are some of the issues or cases that our children face that requires the necessary attention to access justice?
First, Noli, is to congratulate you for having this conversation on this day. It is the Day of the African Child, and we are talking about access to justice being very friendly. I think that is the first thing to note, that we really need access to justice to be friendly. And I would say that the challenge we're having in access to justice for the children is also the law is not as obvious as we think it is. We have people not understanding the law. We have people not knowing what to do when abuse occurs. And we have even people not knowing what abuse is. So when you're talking about that a child has been defiled, to some communities and to some areas, that is already normalized. That is already the normal way of life for children in that particular setup. So for me, access to justice sometimes is too complex. The language of the court is too complex. Communities are fatigued in maybe going to court every now and then. Communities are not even aware of the procedure to take, because the many cases we get is of children being defiled, and they have not even gone to the hospital. They have not reported the cases. They are afraid. They have gone to these institutions after a week, after maybe the pregnancy has started showing, and that now becomes a dilemma. How are you going to assist a child when there's not much of evidence? How are you even supposed to assist a child even when the parents and the neighbors people who are needed to be witnesses are not willing to do it. So it becomes a challenge, and now that even things are becoming virtual, we are going more digital. We complexities are increasing. And like today I was in Taru for this sensitization, and parents in this area were saying that it is not, they don't know where to start. So to not take a long time on this, but to just say that the problems we are having is the complexities, and access to justice is not accessible. It is not very friendly to children. Yes, those are the challenges I see.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for finding time to join us even as you transit. Whatever you've just shared is resourceful that, the law is very complex. I'd want to bring in Christine, who is also working in the community, both as a paralegal and is working with young women. Christine, we've just heard from our colleague Teresa that the community has a challenge of understanding the law. And my question to you will be, what are some of the impacts that we've experienced in the community as a result of children not accessing justice? The
Okay,
impact that
thank you again for this opportunity. One of the impacts that the children of access are experiencing, first of all, let's talk about defilement or sodomy. You find that these kids grow up in trauma. It's even hard for them to accept that this and the happenings keep on haunting them, and you find that there aren't even good counseling centers for these children. And also, since the perpetrators are still out at large and nothing is being done, we find that these cases are increasing each and every day. We have different cases happening. And another challenge that we're also facing at the grassroots level, yes, I might undertake a case as a paralegal, go to the police station, follow the procedure, all that. But then when this perpetrator has already fled, you find that it's hard, and the police will be like, just take the kid to the hospital after all that medication, all that stuff. When you find the perpetrator, we will come. That is where we come in. And I mean, like, where do you expect us to find these perpetrators? The perpetrators, while they have already run away because they know that the police are looking for them. So you find that this is also a major challenge. If the police would have a strategy whereby these people, because the perpetrators have relatives, have close relatives, let's say their parents or siblings, why aren't they taken in for questioning so that we can find out where these perpetrators are hiding? So you find that this is one of the major challenges, and I don't know whether the police are not doing their work that much. Yes, as much as we have that gender-based desk, but then what are they doing about such cases? And this is where you find that the number of perpetrators will increase because there's nothing that is done. And like, no, this is the norm. This is normal. It's normal for us to do this to these kids.
Thank you so much. You've brought in a very important component, and I hope Council Mudomi is there. If you can hear me, unmute your microphone, please, Council.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. Paul, I know you are in the middle of another meeting, and at times putting the camera on might be a challenge. Christine has brought in something, very vital. As an office, you cannot do everything to guarantee access to justice, including to children. My question would be, the working relations between varied arms of government or varied stakeholders so that we can guarantee access to justice. My question specifically is there a good working relationship rather between varied stakeholders so that we can provide access to justice for children?
Well, Nori, you are very right on that.
Mm.
What I will say is that as a service, even if you look at our establishing statute, it calls for us to adopt a multi-collaborative approach in our to ensure that Kenyans access the right to justice. And at the moment, we do this by collaborating through with various stakeholders in the justice sector. That starts with the magistrate courts, the investigating officer, the prosecutor, and we also employ the court users committee, whereby we seek to create some capacity building. And in this form, at the moment, we are lucky to be supported by the European Union, where we are conducting frequent court users committee trainings, and we know those bring together the various justice sector players. It's through this that we can try and find out an approach that will work for a specific region. And it might not be instantaneous, but with time we believe that we shall get there, since there is a need to protect our children. Yeah, I think that's all, unless if something else comes up.
Thank you. Thank you for the approach that you've just indicated. And maybe to hear from Hafswa. Hafswa, if you can hear me, please unmute your microphone.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry, I think yes.
So, I mean, no problem. Maybe to hear from you the perception of the community on issues around access to justice, because you see, we are living in a community that wants to employ an eye for an eye, and we know there are some children who, for one reason or another, get into conflict, which in nature is a bit criminal. So what is the community's, I mean, how does community view access to justice, including for those children whom have contravened or broken the law?
Actually, in the I think from earlier conversation with Madam Teresa, it is still a very complex situation, like what I spoke about earlier. The communities do not understand very much about legalities, especially the laws, and it's still a taboo for even when a child has been violated on, for even the parents to understand that they have to go and report it immediately, where to go, what to do. So if there is a scenario whereby a child is involved in they're the ones who are like the abusers or who have done something to violate the law, it is also even more challenging for them, because I think what we are needed here, the perception is still behind, and most of the communities are still don't understand much about the laws. It's still a taboo, and it's still very difficult for people to understand the laws here. So we really need more awareness to happen on the ground, especially for the youths and for communities. And by involving the legal aid or community lawyers, like I think Madam Teresa, what she's doing with her work, this is much more needed. It's still a very complex and difficult situation. People do not understand each other on small things, small matters. So I think when a child goes through a phase, maybe they go through and they are traumatized themselves, maybe when they are younger, and then they do something wrong. A parent or even a neighbor cannot even understand why they did that, why they abused somebody, or they did something wrong. It's a very different situation here, because the perception that people have uh, they cannot go and seek maybe guidance for the child. They don't know that there are like centers whereby you can take the child, like the one we just heard about, where they can rehabilitate and reform the kids and give them counseling, give them all the sessions that are necessary for them, yani to understand what is the root cause of the problem. So it's very difficult. We need to understand in the communities what is the root cause of all the problems they go through, the youths. And I think this is the such initiatives like what you're doing here, Noli. This is what is needed, to involve people, to ask the questions, to start asking, why is this happening? Why is so and so doing this and that? You need to give that questions and understand the scenario that is going on, like in the child's mind, why they want to do something when they are not supposed to do it, because sometimes the child themselves may be abused or maybe going through something, peer pressure or some form of psychological, social abuse. This can happen. And most people do not understand that. It's not normal, even for us, for Swahili, to understand that somebody has been socially abused. If somebody will ask you what is social abuse, people just verbally abuse each other normally, and it's something very normal. Like we were talking about in the recently in a parents meeting, we had the headmistress informing us that the children lately are using a lot of verbal abuses, and when you come to see it, it's the parents, they speak in front of the teachers in a vulgar manner. So kids imitate that. They learn from that. So it sometimes depends on the upbringing. And mostly in our homes, we usually teach our kids to do wrong things. And we need that awareness to happen for us to bridge the bridge, to have more people to learn more about laws, to learn more, to have like paralegal trainings, to learn more about what are the laws that protect children, what are the laws that protect all of us, what are the basic rights, and I think we can understand that more further by all of us trying to go deeper into understanding what is the law, because I think it was a very complex scenario. The lawyers are there in the courts and the judges, and we are here, the communities. There was no one bridging that gap. And I think having such networks is very important, because you can understand who are child officers, where to call. Now we can understand where is the legal aid office. We think that the Constitution has done that, has put the legal aid office. I even know where it is. And, you can tell somebody, okay, you can go somewhere, you can get some help. And thank you so much for that. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Asante sana for that nice, nice overview on the community. Maybe back to you, Madam Irene. AFSO has brought about the community's perspective and embrace to justice. Are there cases and instances where I will say that the communities or refuses to take back their children, and what happens in such situations or scenarios? Because that is a case of denying justice to that child who is supposed to be reintegrated with the community.
Noli, yes, there are some instances of that kind, but we have organizations, non-government organizations, that help in sensitizing the communities. For example, we also have the probation office under the Ministry of Interior that is tasked by the court to go and assess the community where these children are supposed to go back to, and interview them and prepare reports on the status, how the community is behaving towards the matter this child has before court, and how prepared they are to have the child, and if not, they put in place they work with the local community leadership, that is the chiefs, the nyumba kumi, to sensitize the community that this child has been through the juvenile justice system. Maybe they were committed to a hostel institution or a probation hostel or a rehabilitation center, and to make the community understand that when this child is in these institutions, a lot is being done to them. They are being cancelled. they are trained in skills, so that when they go back to the community, there are people who have reformed. They have gone through the rehabilitation process, normally between 18 months to 3 years. So the community is made to understand that this child that you're labeling as a bad person is not coming back the way they left the community. They are coming back a transformed person. So the community is prepared now to give this child a benefit of doubt and take him back and embrace him as one of their own, so that the child also does not face stigmatization and feel like they are being rejected. So when the probation officer prepares a report and they feel like the home environment is still not favorable and much still needs to be done, they give that report to court. Now the court gives more time for the different organizations, that is the community together with the leadership in the community, and also government organizations or CBOs that work in those communities to prepare that community to receive this child. Then another report is done, and if the environment now is favorable, now the child is reintegrated back to that community. So the court also works with the community to prepare a favorable ground where these children go back to, because there are used to be instances where a child would be released from an institution and they go back home and they face a lot of hostility. Some of them are even killed by the mob because the community rejects them, or even if the child is not harmed, they face a lot of stigmatization and they are rejected and they do not fit. They are very uncomfortable in the society, in the community that they once belonged to. So they are not just released without groundwork being done to ensure that they are going back to a place where they'll be well received and they will um, get reintegrated back into the community really well, so that they are accepted. They are not judged by whatever they did before they left the community. The community realizes they are receiving a transformed person and they are ready to give him a benefit of doubt and treat him as a normal person like any other.
Thank you so much, Irene. I know the department is doing a lot as much as those children are concerned, and I want to appreciate you for finding time. I know your work is 24/7, and we are very much grateful. Please feel free. We really appreciate the input that at least you provided for us, an insight, because the other day we had another session with a team of stakeholders, and people think that having children in remand homes is like a detention center where children are cared and given hard labor. But we appreciate that you honored our invite and just clarified clearly that even those children are taken, which prepares them to be accepted by their families. Thank you so much for that. We really value and appreciate your input. I mean, Christina, from your end, working alongside the community, how easy or how hard has it been living in a juvenile society where sometimes the community members don't even believe in the police? So how easy has it been sensitizing the community, empowering the community, even on those small cases of gender-based violence in the community? Has it been to access justice to our community? Karibu Crystal.
Oh, okay. It's not an easy task for you get to explain someone that justice exists, this is just the correct procedure that you have to follow for one to get justice. It's really not easy because people have already normalized the fact that one cannot find justice. And that's why you'll find that most of the gender based cases, of which I understand that GBV cases are criminal offenses, people will decide to go into meditation. Even we have some exemplary rape cases, the parents are like, no, we'll just sit down and talk. So you see, some things, such things are so dehumanizing, and for you to get to explain to the community till for you to understand. But then I can't say we are complaining that much because thanks to I think the world is changing and there is some bit of understanding. People nowadays also, though the number is still few, but I understand that the more we continue working hard, sensitizing the community, going to the grassroots level with this information, we're creating an impact. And for me to create an impact to the society doesn't mean that I have to change the perspective or opinion of 100 people on matters of social justice. If I manage to get one person, that is already remarkable because this one person will be like the light in that whole area. And I can say that yes, we are trying. First of all, working with the local authorities, that is the assistant chief and the village elders and the Nyumba Kumi initiative. Thanks to the village elders are now getting to understand that gender GBV cases aren't to be mediated. And when such cases arise, you're like, we have someone who can help. They understand that such cases are directly taken to the gender-based desk in the police station. And in case someone has been injured, they also understand that there is a gender-based desk at the hospital. Like we have one at the Police District Hospital. We also have another desk at the Coast General Hospital. And these gender desks are really of help. They're playing a bigger role when it comes to issues to deal with the gender-based violence. So I can't say that it's been easy and it has not been hard, but we are trying our level best to sensitize the community, and we can also see an impact slowly. Though the change is slow, but we believe that with time things will be fine and people will get to understand what really social justice is and how can one gain social justice, especially when it comes to issues to deal with gender-based violence cases. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And as you're progressing, I'd want also to appreciate, nice conversation coming in the chat where, Shakirina Youth says most of the cases are sorted in the community, but no one wins, either the community or the child. There are cases of children joining juvenile gangs and harassing people, but no one reports. I've been bringing back, counsel on this matter of on the issue of cases, community, no one wins. Most cases are sorted in the community. The issue of sorting cases in the, what's your take on that? Is it something that needs to be encouraged? Is it something we should do away with? More specifically on issues of cases affecting children. Karibu, Council.
What I will say, Nori, we as office
Yes.
we promote that a community maybe can sort out some of the issues, but if it's in relation to something where a child is in need of care, maybe food and the basic needs, that we can support it being done at the community level without it being escalated to the government agencies. But once it comes to a crime committed against a child, we recommend, and the law is very clear, report that matter so that the relevant authorities can take over. And this is to ensure that that child will be adequately protected, because we know once you decide to do at the community level, when it's a child, maybe the gender-based violence, we know it's only a few people who will benefit. The child will be left suffering and also under stigma. So we actually recommend they should allow the law to take the full course when it's an offense against a child. And because they are our future. we can't allow them to be messed up at this young age because of the actions of a few. And what I usually tell people is, if you realize something like that happened, you can come to office, you can report, you will remain unknown, but we shall take action to ensure that that child will be protected. So if it's something to do with just the provisions of the child, we encourage hata nyumba wazee wa kijiji, they can assist in trying to have the father and the mother provide for the child. But once it's a criminal offense perpetrated against the child, we highly recommend that it's reported to the relevant authorities.
Thank you so much for that. For expounding it on the nature of issues that can be decided upon, or rather agreed upon in the community level. And just to get to hear from Teresa, the issue around the our culture and religion. Does it? Is our culture and religion working towards access to justice for children, or drawing us further back and denying children access to justice?
Noli, I will tell you that the judiciary, as shocking as it may sound, was operating on a 1% budget of the entire budget. 1%, which I hear is an improvement from 0.6%. That is what the judiciary was given. Then we realize, having said that, we realize that the Constitution of Kenya says that alternative dispute resolution, alternative ways of settling disputes is welcomed, because we cannot have all cases going to court. We cannot have all the, watu wamepigana, the cases of chike, going to court. But we have to understand what cases are going to court, which cases are mandatory to go to court. We cannot have sexual offenses cases going for mediation. They cannot be, the kangaroo courts that people sit and discuss, this is our culture. You remember the case of the Giriama case, the R versus Marsha, and they were saying that the perpetrator was saying, in my culture, we are allowed to marry children of around 13 years. And he's saying, it is okay, I don't see even why I'm in court. This is my wife. He does not even dispute that he's having a relationship with a child. And now the Constitution went ahead to say culture is acceptable unless it is overriding the human rights, unless it is overriding the well-good of the Constitution. And the Constitution in the Bill of Rights is saying we are here to protect children. So you cannot say that you are marrying off children because your culture demands so, or your religion is saying we can have children of 16 years being married. And over time, we have had our law being amended. We have had amendments saying, for instance, the Marriage Act, that a child cannot be married. The limit or the age of giving consent to marriage is 18 years. We cannot say that we are doing things in line with culture, yet we are infringing the rights of children. And that is the problem. Cases of land cases people don't even want to mediate land cases. They want to go to court. But cases of children, people are saying, oh, resources are being used. We cannot go to the police. We cannot report cases because we are using so much resources. And we are selfish. The community is selfish. Today, you want to go and train a community in Changamwe, they will ask you, is there lunch? Is there transport back home? Yet, if they were fighting against land, they would go to court and they would take the matter to court. So there is no goodwill, Noli. People know the rights. People, the elders, the village elders, people know all these rights, but they don't want to act for the well-being of children. If you look at it, look at our budget. Look how much we give to preventive measures against abuse. Look at how much the county government is having projects to sensitize communities. They don't have this kind of, we want to safeguard. We are building courts, waiting for children to be abused and then come to court. So that is, I know I was to talk about culture. Infringing anything that goes against the rights, violation of human rights, then we cannot accept, and we cannot even be able to sit and be able to agree on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for that insight. And an interesting comment is coming from Naima, who says, what I can say, this is the hardest issue ever. When we talk about religion and culture, the Chief Justice Court is not giving a clear resolution when it comes to divorce. The message, the comment rather goes further to indicate the focus is not on child matters when two parties split living, children becoming more vulnerable. And I'd wish to invite you, Hafswa, to provide us an insight into this. Yes, we know that religion guides our day-to-day life, but now what happens when it reaches a point whereby your rights as a being are being affected? Because it's a divorce case between two adults of sound mind, and you'll find that our courts decides for the two, forgetting about the child. And we've seen there are cases of children not being able to go to school. There are cases of children who've happened to be with the parents of either gender, and we've seen that children are being abused at times. So maybe from your perspective, what will you say about religion, culture, and their role as much as access to justice to children is concerned? What should religion do? What should culture do? So that even as we're practicing religion and practicing culture, we are guaranteeing our children that they will access justice until that point in time when they are people of adult age. Karibu Hafswa.
Okay, thank you. What I'll just say, I think from what the former speaker, Madam Teresa, mentioned about culture, was that we all have different perspectives that we have and norms in our cultures. Like for us here in Mombasa, especially the Swahilis, we usually shun down a lot of things, a lot of matters. So we don't take much consideration into child's rights. We do not understand it at all. We usually hide a lot of things. We don't want to be known as we have problems in our lives. It's such a taboo. Like if your child is abused or anything happens to a child or anything, that you don't want neighbors to know. So it's that closed-mindedness. We still have that. And I think for our religion, children have rights. They're supposed to be looked after. Islam says that you need to take care of your kid. You have to look after your kid. It is your responsibility even before God. And I believe that even the other religions do talk about that. But the problem comes when it's the laws. When you have two parents and they decide to divorce, if you go through the Qadhi's court, and there are so many procedures that go through there. And I think from that perspective, we need to even have more dialogue with somebody, a representative from the Qadhi's court, somebody who's a marriage counselor or a family practice, to understand that deeper. But it is a very complex system. And I feel that children are usually the ones who lose a lot, because sometimes the parents, they may insinuate a lot of things about the children. And sorry, I'm here with my kids. They just came in. And
No problem. It's their right, huh?
yeah. Okay. What I was just saying is that we have everybody has rights, even by God. We all have rights. We're all human beings, and we all need to be treated well. We all needed to be to have we all have to have humanity in us. That's what I mean. We do not have to do something wrong to somebody, abuse somebody's rights, even if it's a child, and I believe they are more vulnerable than that. Our courts, even in Kadhi's courts, it's still very complex. It's a very difficult situation because parents may bring about so many different information which the other one doesn't know. And, at the end of the day, the marriage was between the parents, but the divorce, it's like between the whole entire family. And the kids are usually the losers for sure. Because if the parents are not civil, the kids will also not be able to be looked after well. They may end up with the father or may end up with the mother. It depends on the scenario and the situation. And I believe in the community itself, we as people need to be more open, more direct. And it's true, you make trainings, even awareness in the communities, and people will ask you, do you have transport? Do you provide meals? Do you provide this? People don't want to get that knowledge, that information, don't want to access that information themselves. We are also guilty because we don't seek this information, and it's actually there. These days the government is trying their best to try to sensitize people and pass on the information, but we are not seeking it. And they usually do know it, even the Wazir Mtaz and everybody, but it's still a bit very complex on the ground and in the communities. Our cultures, we are still very not open to any type of awareness, or we don't want to access the justice in itself. We don't want to give chance for the justice to work because we as people are still negligent, to try to understand and talk about these problems and what are going on, to see the realities of what they are. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that for that. I mean, nice expansion on the issue of religion, and I can see that time is almost lapsing, and I will invite you, Christine, to give us. I mean, if you can hear me, please unmute your microphone. Christine, are you there? Okay. Christine has just disappeared. Maybe as we're moving to conclusion, we'd want to give time to each and every one of us an opportunity to just give as we giving our parting shots, but more so offer recommendation on how we can accelerate access to justice to our children, because it's something that is very elusive. I'll I'll invite you, Teresa, to give us, recommend to us, offer some insight recommendations on what possibly and how maybe we can get to work towards guaranteeing access to justice for our children. Teresa, if you can hear me, karibu.
Noli, as I began to say, is that access to justice is complex. What seems to be obvious is not very obvious, and we have very vulnerable communities. When we walk around into communities, that is when you realize that they are actually very vulnerable. I will give you an example. At the moment, I'm having a project in Bamba just to create awareness. And in Bamba, children have to walk, communities have to go, just from Bamba town center, they have to go to Kilifi Court, which is 52 kilometers away. And at that point, they have had to walk to the police station early in the morning because the police station only has one car to make them access the courts. So when they get to court after hearing, and they go to court and the case has been adjourned, maybe there were no witnesses, or maybe something, the court was not sitting and the case has been adjourned in the next 7 months or 5 months or so. This person, when they go back home, they will not go back to court because already it is tedious for them to have 52 kilometers. And there are some, I was told, that they have walked even for 3 days just to access court. This is a defiled child. This is a child who has not given evidence in court, and maybe they are needed to come back after 6 months. That evidence, they might forget. It is not as fresh as it was. They will be re-traumatized because at home they will be reminded oftenly that they need to go and testify. A court, our judicial system, has to take into account of the level of trauma, at the level of what abuse does to children. And the moment we all realize, then we will put more effort to giving cases. We will give priority to children when they come to court to give testimony. We will ensure that children are able to give evidence the first, that when they come to court at 9 in the morning, they will be given priority. We will be able to tell them and to focus on the state of mind even before they testify. But unfortunately, we have few prosecutors. Unfortunately, we have few courts. Unfortunately, children sometimes are left on their own with their guidance to fight over the issue. My take, and I would like to suggest, that organizations sit on very different levels. We have the court users committees, we have the area advisory councils, we have different organs in government that can give protection. We have non-government organizations like Kituo cha Sheria, like where I work, Haki Yetu, any other organization that can come forward and give these services to children. When we focus on children who have been abused, we will be able to ensure that they are able to get counseling, they are able to be represented in court, they are able to get this burden. The burden is made lighter, and this can only be done when we have a friendly justice system which is accessible. So for me, let us work as organizations, let the courts, let the people given this mandate to protect children take it seriously. Let us not tire, because sometimes we get fatigued. Sometimes we go to court, we do not speak, we are silent just like the children, and our silence makes the children not get help. My plea today is that everyone who is listening, let us be proactive. Let us say that communities understand, and they're able to understand what the law means. Community understand when we talk about bail and bond, it does not mean that the person has been let free. So that people know that we build the faith in courts, in our courts, because if communities have this myth that the court is not working, the justice system is a failure, then children will continuously be abused and these cases will not be reported. They will only be reported when girls are pregnant or when children, young boys, need corrective surgeries because they have really, really been abused. So anyone listening, and for us, I want us to take this conversation to the next level. Let's keep talking. Let us go to our communities. Let us see the problems they have, and we help them to raise our voices for policies that work. Let us not accept that perpetrators, when they go to court, they are given cash bail of 20,000 and then go back to the community. Let us push for harder measures to ensure that children get help and they are able to access this justice the best way possible. Thank you, Noli.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for your time, and you've provided such a great resource that informs. It shouldn't end here. There is no justice that we are giving to children here on this digital platform. We need to go back to the ground, mobilize and see that every child accesses justice. The case of Bamba is, heart-wrenching, but we hope with us joining hands, we shall get to achieve. Maybe Hafswa, you'll give us your parting shots, maybe your recommendation and your way forward and parting shots, and then of course we'll give an opportunity to last Mombasa office to give us, of course, his recommendation, parting shots, of course, and close for us this session. Hafswa, if you can hear me, karibu.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you again. I would just like to thank Madam Teresa. I know she does uh, exceptional work, and it's amazing and really important that we have such people in our midst to give us so much guidance in legal law and who try to do their best in the communities. We really appreciate your efforts and appreciate all the efforts that everybody is doing to try and bring about all this information to us in the communities. And for us in the community, I want us all to try our best, not to just sit in our homes and then accept the situation like, okay, nothing is happening in my home. How sure are you it will not happen in the future? You do not know what will happen. So every child, for me, I'm always for the child. Every child deserves somebody to look after them. So you do not think that it's not just your child, it's everybody's child. So even if it's your neighbor's child, we need to really care and look after children. Children are so very, very vulnerable and they really need us to look after and protect them. It may not be your child. If you notice something anywhere, anytime, you have to look after that. You have to go after that. You have to take care of these children. They really deserve people to look after them. We are really letting down children these days because we say that, oh, okay, this is just my home. The child is just somebody else's. And for me, that perception has to go. I want people to be responsible, everybody to care for children and to look after children. And I want this to go on. It's a very good initiative. Brother Noli, please keep it up. We hope to see more of this in the community. We have more paralegal aid. I thank Clear Kenya for doing that. It really opened my eyes. I understood a lot. I got a lot of insight into that, and I'm doing my best to sensitize and to give awareness in our community. And I would like to understand this more, and I want more parents, more people in the community, the Balozis, the Wazewamtas, Mamamtas. We all need to give to understand our basic rights for everybody. It's very important for us. We are humans, and I think for humanity, we have to do this for each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hafsa, for that closing parting shot. I'll welcome Council Mulomi to also give us his parting shots. And of course, I know close for us this session. You're a very important office as much as access to justice is concerned, and we are actually delighted and honored to have you here. Karibu, Council, to you speak to us.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nori, for this opportunity. My parting shot is that as a community, there is a need for us to create awareness on both the law and particularly on the rights of the child, on how to protect the child. And it's a good thing that also our office has this mandate. And as the Mombasa office, we are ready and willing to participate. For us, we don't need to always request for the facilitation. Just invite us. For us, we shall show up to do our mandate. And further, we need to ensure there is the collaboration between the various stakeholders at the community level to ensure that we come up with targeted solution for a particular community, particularly in need to protect the child for it is in the best interest of the child for us to seek this, and this will ensure that the children have access to justice. That's all that I have to say.
From my end, I want to say thank you so much. I know these are hours which both of us should have left office to our respective homes to go rest for the day that's ahead of us tomorrow. But you accepted to join us for this conversation on how we can access justice, including to children We want to tell you asante sana, and we are so much indebted to you. I mean, we can't have the right words to define how we've appreciated your time, the much you've been resourceful, not only to us, but to even those who are listening to us. And it is our hope and prayer that when an opportunity presents itself one more time, we'll be able to delve further and dig deeper and have tangible structures so we can make sure that our children access justice. From our end, asanteni sana, be blessed and have a nice evening. Kwaherini, asanteni.